Okay, we staying in focus there. That there is a zebra nymph. It's a really effective fly, and this is what I'm going to tie for you guys today. Super simple and easy. Umpqua jig bomb jig heads. If that's staying in focus there on that, this is 3.5 mil, 20 pack of those. And the size hook I'm going to be tying so you guys can see it a little easier. We're going to be using a size 12 Umpqua U201 scud hook. We have some silver tinsel. We also have some black wool yarn. And that's pretty much going to be it, besides that little bit of peacock that's up there in the front wrapped around that bead. And that's just peacock eye stub. I'm going to go ahead and get this jig out of there. Or not jig, but that nymph out of the vise real quick. I'm going to get this other hook in there. We'll get started tying this. Alright, well, let's get our thread. We got the Uni 72 denier black, and we'll just start right in behind that bead head, like so. Go ahead and clip off our tag tail here. And you got to make sure that whenever you're using these jig bomb jig heads, or jig bomb bead heads, whatever you'd like to refer to them as, that you go up and over the front of the eye of the hook, or vice versa, whichever way you feel more confident. You can go up and under like this to tie it in, or you can make the reversing way, which I don't like doing, which is where you bring it up and over the side. Yeah, I don't like the way that feels. Plus it puts too much thread up on the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping back here for my body now that I've got my head secured up here. I'm just going to make a nice little thread body. It really doesn't have to be precise or touching in any form. Just got to get back to the back end of the, right where the bend starts to get a little bit sharper there. And then we're going to grab our black wool yarn, making sure that we've cleaned all the other materials off. Sometimes this stuff can be a little staticky and pick up other materials. We've had tied in some ice in there before by accidentally doing this to it. Not like drinking ice, but the flash ice. And speaking of flash, we're going to grab our crystal flash that we have right here. And this is just, or crystal flash or crystal tinsel, whichever one you'd like to use, in proper proportion and size to the fly and hook that you're tying it on is the key when it comes to tying flies. Always using the proper size material, which is sometimes difficult to get. So as we get back up to the front, even though there's a big jig head there, or a big bead head, I'm still going to make a precautionary whip finish to keep everything intact. And then I'm going to start wrapping towards you guys, towards your side of the hook, like this, wrapping with touching wraps coming up to the front of this hook. And we're going to double overlap or triple this body here. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Because if I go straight up right now, it ends up being a nice little thin shaped body, as you can see, because that wool yarn is pretty consistent in thickness. So we're just going to go back to about right where the tip, just behind the tip of the hook there, and then we'll come back forwards again, pulling tight down into where we're at and doing touching wraps up to the front, giving it that nice little tapered body shape. Once we get up to the bead head, throw your thread directly at the camera to make sure it's attached to your bobbin. And then we'll go ahead and cut that off. So as I was saying, wrapping this way with the body. Now when we do the tinsel, we need to wrap counter of that one. So we'll start out by trying to do 5 to 7 nice little uniform wraps around there, keeping them very, very evenly spaced as you can possibly get. But you have to remember, nothing out there in this world is perfect, so it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. It's just gotta have a little bit of look and a little bit of shape to it. We'll go ahead and trap that tinsel in there. Go ahead and trim her off. And then now we're going to grab just a tiny little small piece of peacock dub here. Peacock ice dub, I should say. And this is the smallest amount you could probably, well, you'd probably get less than that. This is just a tiny little piece. It doesn't need to be very big to just give this just a little accent right in behind that bead there. And then we're going to go ahead and try to keep the camera in focus during this whole entire ordeal and give this thing a nice little whip finish. A couple turns. I'm going to go once more around there. Break her off, and that there is the zebra nymph. Super easy to use, super easy to tie. This is tied up out of just whatever I have laying around, just plain wool yarn, you know, nothing fancy. You can tie it all the way down into size 28 or 30 if you want to, but problem is whenever you start getting into smaller size flies is materials. Getting the hook, getting the bead, getting the body material, and then also getting ribbing, or even trying to put the smallest amount of all those on that hook becomes difficult. So, zebra nymph, thank you guys for watching, liking, and subscribing. See you on the next one.